I have a few suggestions that may help you on your way to a better world. And while these lessons were learned during my time in the military, I can assure you that it matters not whether you ever served a day in uniform. It matters not your gender, your ethnic or religious background, your orientation, or your social status. Our struggles in this world are similar, and the lessons to overcome those struggles and to move forward, changing ourselves and changing the world around us, will apply equally to all. So here are the 10 lessons I learned from basic SEAL training that hopefully will be of value to you as you move forward in life. Every morning in SEAL training, my instructors, who at the time were all Vietnam veterans, would show up in my barracks room, and the first thing they'd do was inspect my bed. If you did it right, the corners would be square, the covers would be pulled tight, the pillow centered just under the headboard, and the extra blanket folded neatly at the foot of the rack. It was a simple task, mundane at best, but every morning we were required to make our bed to perfection. It seemed a little ridiculous at the time, particularly in light of the fact that we were aspiring to be real warriors, tough, battle-hardened SEALs. But the wisdom of this simple act has been proven to me many times over. If you make your bed every morning, you will have accomplished the first task of the day. It will give you a small sense of pride, and it will encourage you to do another task, and another, and another. And by the end of the day, that one task completed will have turned into many tasks completed. Making your bed will also reinforce the fact that the little things in life matter. If you can't do the little things right, you'll never be able to do the big things right. And if by chance you have a miserable day, you will come home to a bed that is made, that you made. And a made bed gives you encouragement that tomorrow will be better. So if you want to change the world, start off by making your bed. During SEAL training, the students are all broken down into boat crews. Each crew is 7 students, 3 on each side of a small rubber boat, and 1 coxswain to help guide the dinghy. Every day, your boat crew forms up on the beach and is instructed to get through the surf zone and paddle several miles down the coast. In the winter, the surf off San Diego can get to be 8 to 10 feet high, and it is exceedingly difficult to paddle through the plunging surf unless everyone digs in. Every paddle must be synchronized to the stroke count of the coxswain. Everyone must exert equal effort, or the boat will turn against the wave and be unceremoniously dumped back on the beach. For the boat to make it to its destination, everyone must paddle. You can't change the world alone. You will need some help. And to truly get from your starting point to your destination takes friends, colleagues, the goodwill of strangers, and a strong coxswain to guide you. If you want to change the world, find someone to help you paddle. Over a few weeks of difficult training, my SEAL class, which started with 150 men, was down to just 42. There were now 6 boat crews of 7 men each. I was in the boat with the tall guys, but the best boat crew we had was made up of the little guys, the Munchkin crew, we called them. No one was over 5'5". The Munchkin boat crew had 1 American Indian, 1 African American, 1 Polish American, 1 Greek American, 1 Italian American, and 2 tough kids from the Midwest. They out-paddled, outran, and outswam all the other boat crews. The big men in the other boat crews would always make good-natured fun of the tiny little flippers the Munchkins put on their tiny little feet prior to every swim. But somehow these little guys from every corner of the nation and the world always had the last laugh, swimming faster than everyone and reaching the shore long before the rest of us. SEAL training was a great equalizer. Nothing mattered but your will to succeed, not your color, not your ethnic background, not your education, not your social status. If you want to change the world, measure a person by the size of their heart, not by the size of their flippers.
I'm talking to myself.
Yeah. I do that literally every episode I start, so don't worry.
Yeah, I guess I like hearing the sound of my Yeah. Okay, we're here today with Kim Coulter. Don't want. I want to just take it off, so I don't.
It's hard for me to hear you right now, Dale, for some reason. I don't know.
Yeah, it got hard again.
All right, is that better?
Yeah, there we
Better.
Okay, you want to just say your last name so I don't.
Yeah, it's DiCioccio.
Okay, there you go. I would have messed it up.
Yeah. It's all right. Most people do.
Okay. It definitely. Yeah, you're Italian. Because it doesn't obviously doesn't look that way when you read it.
Yeah, DiCioccio. But for some reason, your mic does keep going in and out on my end. I don't know if it's just me, but
it's happening to me too.
Let me try this.
Oh no, I can't even hear. Either of you.
No hearing. I can hear you, Kim.
Yeah, I can hear you, but I can't hear either of them. Welcome to the show.
It always happens like this.
So I had a friend have like some kind of a mental breakdown a while back, and she used to repeat the phrase that the CIA doesn't want me to be famous, and I always think of that.
It's true.
It's the CIA. They don't want us.
It's the CIA. They don't want us on here.
Can you hear now?
I can hear you.
That's
yeah.
better.
Okay, good. I have no idea. Like this, I just did a podcast yesterday, and it was working fine.
I'm telling you,
goodness, it's definitely because of what we're about to talk about in the spirit of Elijah and everything, So, yes.
Yeah.
No principalities or powers.
Well, we might as well get to it so that we can hear what you have to say. Because I know we've been talking for a while, and some of the stuff that went on, and you were there with January 6th, and then you got 3 pardons now, and then.
Yeah, I did. I got 3 pardons.
And then you had. Then you had.
I was pregnant at January 6th too. I was pregnant with Elijah. So was Kimberly. We were there together. But Kimberly ended up going home. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't go to. Literally, that's another thing that bothers me about the January 6th narrative. Like, none of us, I was in the same house as all the boys who got all the charges. And there was no mention of the Capitol until literally we're like, oh, we're going to walk to the Capitol. And I was like, my feet hurt and I have a train to get, so.
And I wasn't leaving, so I had to stay. So I'm like, I was staying at the Airbnb as well with Kimberly. And the guys were like, well, we're here to keep you safe because, as you guys know, I mean, doing events and stuff that I've done, I've been around the Proud Boys, so they've helped with that. They're like, okay, Adge, we're going to keep you safe. It was no plan.
The most planned thing was what would happen with the pregnant woman.
There was supposed to be a little rally outside of it with Enrique and Roger and Alex, and it couldn't happen because Enrique got arrested before, and then all that stuff happened. So, I mean, it was just weird. But they didn't do anything like that. But yeah, me and Kim were definitely pregnant. So that caused a lot of issues to why I'm even in this position in the first place. But
yeah, and so you had a little bit of a political case that happened with your son with family court and all that sort of stuff. So you want to kind of touch a little bit on that so that people can kind of get an idea of what was going on?
Absolutely. Okay. Well, yeah, let me introduce myself. Hello, everybody. I'm Adrienna DiCioccio. I am a political activist. I haven't done much in a while due to personal things that I've been going through, like this situation with my son and going through January 6th. But January 6th did have a lot to do with what happened with my son because a judge in Missouri who was appointed by Biden, in the paperwork, it was said that I was a MAGA extremist domestic terrorist and I was unfit to be a mother. So that is allegedly what they used against me, on top of doing other things, doing motions behind closed doors without hearings, which means obviously everything is null and void. No signatures, hiding things with the clerk, not being able to get to paperwork, tons and tons of stuff, redacting everything that was put on my end judicially correct, for nobody to even be able to see, yes, redacting it and everything like that. And then they also came and took my son physically from me using that motion that was done behind closed doors. I was able to FOIA request the video of them taking my son. I got it within 2 days. It's absurd. I had to order protection with my son's name on it here in New York State. I mean, I did everything correct. I truly did. And it shouldn't have been able to happen. But they said they were going to arrest me for kidnapping, my mom and my dad for kidnapping as well. When, the other party was fully aware. I'm not going to sit there and like dog my son's father, because that's just not who I am. I'm going to dog the system, and I'm going to dog decisions that were put into the system. That's what I'm going to dog, because people make mistakes. And I truly believe in refining yourself through the Spirit of Jesus Christ. And everybody can be saved. My ex was an atheist, so there is a difference in the way that we've perceived things. I've always done things for morals and love, and this person kind of just comes to come at you and use children against you. And you see that repeatedly in stories like in the Bible, where children are used against families, just like they did with the two families in front of court. Which one is the real mother? And of course, the real mother is going to say, no, do not cut my child in half, freely give him to this other family, because that's what a true mother does. And that is what I feel like I am doing right now. I am freely giving him to his other side of his family that has kept him away, using political things against me, using the corrupt court system to maliciously attack my son and my relationship and his upbringing. And I mean, quite frankly, also my family's, because he's missing all of that. And I mean, it's hard for me to dive into it because I haven't seen my son since December 14th, 2023. It's now 2026. And I haven't seen him. So, coming on here and talking about it, I haven't really publicly gone out about it and spoken on it, because God has kept me silent for such a time as this to come out when it is right to speak on it. And let me tell you, that's been hard to do, to stay quiet, but it also has a lot to do with my mental health and things that I have been restricted on. I mean, especially being a J6er and a public figure the way that I have, it's been most difficult navigating through these last 5 years, these last 5 years since 2021. I'm hopeful.
I just wanted to say, I was like, you said that you had a protection order. I actually was interviewing a woman yesterday, and she's in New York, and she had a protection order. They took her
It's
kid.
hard to hear you again.
Oh,
I'm
wow.
sorry.
I said,
no, maybe you got to be a little closer.
Yeah, maybe I'll do this. She had a protective order, and they ended up taking her child and giving it to her ex, who has a history of raping kids, right? And
well, not raping kids. My ex was a felon, who was a drug lord felon for the Vietnamese drug lords, and he crashed a plane. Yes, so he was a smuggler. That was my ex, and CHS, stuff with FBI and coordinating and doing that type of stuff. That's his history against me and political stuff. It was really weird how it was. It's sort of like a plant type situation, because he was a Proud Boy, then he stopped, and it was just really weird stuff. And then when January 6th happened, when I took Elijah because of abuse, I was abused through a friend of his who abused my son, smacked me, spit in my face, multiple different things. And then Alex not being there, sorry, I named him not being there to support his child or be there for his fiance, soon to be wife in that situation, was absolutely unacceptable. And I was 12 hours away from home. I had no family. I was there and my family was here. So there was a plan for me to leave, and he was very well aware of it. So I left, and he knew, and then he came here and ended up taking the car and changing the plates and throwing the baby's car seat on the ground. So I immediately went for an order of protection because he got angry that I refused to come back home. And I'm not going to step back into a situation that does not feel safe for my son or for I, especially if my son is getting hit at 1.5 years old by people who are drunk, not supposed to be doing this, because my husband's not, my fiance was not there, so.
I just wanted to kind of say, because I brought that up because this woman had a protective order. You had a protective order. But then the state of Missouri took your child, right? So,
Yeah, through New York State, though, they both are compliant to that.
well, yes. So, how is it that what's the point of a protective order if they can come in and just say, okay, well, we're just going to.
They could just weaponize another state to come in and take your child anyway.
And they did it in a really, really vigorous way too, because I had affidavit of troops, memorandums, jurisdiction, territories, personal declaration of independence. And like I said previously when I was rambling, because I haven't talked about this yet, so I'm like, okay, so I'm just going to breathe for a second because this is a tough thing for me. But I did everything correct. I got ironclad notaries. I had the order of protection. He was in trial for the order of protection and was skipping court. And quite frankly, the judge here that I had, her name was Judge Diane Trippi in New York. She was on my side. It was the New York State Police that allowed this to happen. And I tried to, and they allowed it to happen in such a way that they said that my order of protection paperwork was not real. They said that the signed judge paperwork wasn't real. The notary, everything wasn't real. But the motion that was done behind closed doors in Missouri that was not on the docket or even consented to or even talked about, was used to come and take Elijah. And they said that Missouri had jurisdiction because they worded things so right in their fake motion, null and void motion, stating the order of protection in New York State, number blah 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 blah, as it has no allegiance over what Missouri is doing with this motion. Oh, okay. Well, I was running circles around the cops because they came into my house illegally. My dad was actually outside. It reminds me of how you are with Kaysha, that my dad is with me, especially watching videos that you've too. What you guys have gone through. And I just want to commend you for both of you being so strong and fighting the way that you are, and also for having me on to discuss this. But like I said, it does remind me of my dad watching you guys, because my dad has been alongside me through this process this entire time. My dad was also named in the paperwork. That's how bad they want to disrupt me and my father's relationship, which is kind of crazy. But yeah, he was outside for 3 hours holding these cops off. And there ended up being the whole entire C district of the Buffalo Police Department here at my house, breaking in, walking through the gate, ignoring everything. I mean, I've had Buffalo police officers who were my friends coming off the record trying to warn me that this was coming. And I went to extreme measures where I was like, if you don't have a warrant, I had things on my door, specifically ironclad notarized. If you don't have a warrant from the Attorney General of New York State, you won't be able to come. They didn't care. They ignored all of that. They came in, just busted it down. And then it came to the point where they weren't listening to me so bad that they brought the chief of the police up, and she was about to tackle me. They probably would have tased me if I didn't. And okay. And I was literally giving them verbatim, word for word, what the correct laws were. Okay. What they were doing to break them, how they were breaking them, why they were breaking them, and how they were being pulled a fast one on, and how they were going to be the ones to be and do grievance when the time comes, because I'm coming after every single one of you when I can. When I have enough people behind me, when I have enough willpower, because when you are stopped in areas like this and you feel choked and you can't do anything, even the pen doesn't work. Black and white pen doesn't work the way that the judicial laws are supposed to be done by the original Constitution and our Declaration of Independence.
So the way that it's supposed to work, if if Missouri wants to come in and take your kid, first of all, they have to either come into the New York court and say, you don't have jurisdiction, we need to take jurisdiction, and they relinquish it, or New York just doesn't do anything. You had a protection order.
Right.
So they were actively involved in something, or they go to the federal court and say, New York is doing something unconstitutional, and we're going to go to get the federal government to decide this because this is violating the U.S. Constitution. They can't just go to the police and say hand over the child. This is abusing.
Well, they did, and my ex was outside with them, using the police as his freaking army to come after me with illegal paperwork. I had to take our son. So that is exactly what happened. And they were like up here telling me, "Oh, I don't believe you or him." I'm like, "Well, you believe the paperwork. What are you doing?"
The irony of him also being a Proud Boy and trying to label you a MAGA extremist is just so
it's just
painfully
it's
stupid.
Well, what it is, a lot of people in these types of movements want to conform people the way that they want to conform. Okay, now I'm a traditionalist. I am a traditionalist. I believe in families staying together. I tried, I did. I tried. I grew up. My parents are still together. I have two brothers. We're a very close family. I'm a very family-oriented person. I'm a very respectful person when it comes to it. Am I perfect? Have I made decisions in my past that I regret? Most people do, right? None of us are perfect besides Jesus Christ. So, like I said, I don't want to sit here and bash Alex. Do I agree what Alex did? No, absolutely not. He was not putting our son in the better hands of what should be done. You're taking your child away from a mother just maliciously. And that's because people want to conform others into their specific agendas. Like I said, he was an atheist and I am a Christian. And it just started to, I asked him to get baptized. He was agreeing to get baptized, all this stuff. But it came down to the abuse from his friend and him not standing up for Elijah, and the alienation against his son and I, and not being there for his son and I when I did take him. And I was in New York State from February 2023 until December 14th, 2023, when he took him. Okay, he wasn't taking care of Elijah. He wasn't paying for Elijah. He wasn't doing anything for Elijah. I was.
So
he didn't do one thing.
You were there from February of 2023 until
2023.
December.
Yes. And I'm still here now. But that's when Elijah got taken, from February, when Alex knew. And my dad had cancer at the time too. So I was coming home because my dad had cancer. I was here to take care of my father. There was many things. Okay. My dad did come and Alex knew, and I have text messages. That's why I had the order of protection, because it was proven that he was saying he was going to take my child and I would never see him again.
When did he go and get this motion?
The motion was done December 4th, 2023, and Elijah was taken 10 days later.
They can't do that. They can't.
I know.
Especially
a motion that was done behind closed doors.
No, because your son was in New York with you over 6 months.
Right. Okay. But they tried to do that. Okay. And I tried to use that and it didn't work. None of the things they work. Not even the unification, child justice, like none of it. Not the UCJAA. None of it worked.
But really that's the law, right? And you filed a protection order. You were taking the steps that you should have taken because the
protection order, mind you, was from June 2023 all the way to April 2024. They canceled it after April 2024. So it was from June 2023, well before Elijah was taken, all of this. So yes, and there was a trial, and he wasn't coming for the trials. He was trying to get he was trying to get it dismissed. He had a lawyer, and he actually used the motion because we were supposed to have trial 2 days before he came and took Elijah. He was premeditating this. He was in New York. He had to be. He was premeditating it because there was trial that he was supposed to be here in person with, to show up and explain, why weren't you here for your child? Why are you doing this? Why are you threatening to take the baby away? Stuff like that, right? And I was granted 4 years of him to stay away. I truly was. And like I said, it was from June 2023. But he was using the motion that he had done on December 4th, 2023, which was the motion that they were going to, this is what the motion said, you guys. Okay, it's freaking bonkers. The motion was, they wanted me to drive over state lines every Sunday with a 2.5-year-old, not even 2.5 yet, actually, with almost a 2.5-year-old every Sunday to Indiana, not even Missouri. They wanted to add in another third state, which Indiana is huge with sex trafficking. Indianapolis, that area. They wanted me to take my son every Sunday to Indianapolis and give him to Alex and pick him up the same 1 week, so following Sunday. And I said, absolutely not. That's not happening. That's absolutely not happening. When they tried to do that, and I had to fire my lawyer. And once I fired my lawyer, because I did not consent to anything, they did the motion behind closed doors. And they tried to, and so what they did was they said that I wasn't agreeing when they had full black and white notarized paperwork, that I was in no consent to that jurisdiction. There was no custody agreement whatsoever yet. I never even spoke to the judge. The judge has never even heard my voice. Okay. The GAL attorneys were saying that they spoke to me, and they never spoke to me. It's insane. They were lying throughout the entire process and creating things. So after they did that, they did the motion on December 4th to go behind closed doors and state that Missouri has jurisdiction, and they can come and take Elijah through the police officers of New York State. So that's what they did. And that's exactly what they ended up doing. And we held off the longest we can. And now, mind you, during that time, I was going through everything with January 6th. And it was a Biden judge, and they were stating that I was a MAGA extremist, domestic terrorist. So I was shitting my pants, and excuse my language, but I was, because I'm like, I'm going through this with the Proud Boys. I have had the FBI come to my house multiple times and threatened to take my son from me while he was sitting on my lap. I mean, I've had public declarations done about that for court. So my son has been being used as a weapon by this judicial system, politically, for a very long time. So, I was very like, what am I going to do? And I wasn't charged yet. Then I ended up getting arrested by the FBI and all that stuff. So it just all one thing after another. So finally, I have the 3 pardons, and I just keep getting a little bit stuck with how they're still doing things with this law. And I'm holding off. I've been holding off a little bit to do all the research I can. So when I come in, I plow them. And that's where you have come in, Dale, and you've helped me through this process. Even when I was arrested by the FBI, like, you were the one to record the phone call when they were like, do you know what a real FBI badge is from a fake one? Like, all this fake stuff, like paperwork, like, honey, this isn't a real number. Like, I'm like, excuse me? Like, okay. And they're like, we're here to help you. And you were the one to even ask. And like, I just like, it's been a shit show for me. And so you can understand why I don't trust going into this system with a lawyer any longer, or anybody in that sense. Not even an arbitrary. All right. Not even that. I need to go in with executive orders, like how you're saying, petitions in that type of sense. So, I mean, I'm just thankful that I have friends like Kimberly, friends like you and Kaysha, to be as strong as you are, holding the iron rod in the ground. Friends like Enrique, friends like the Proud Boys who have stood up, people who have gone and carried the cross the way that we've been carrying them these past 5 years. Like, it's been ruthless.
I just want to, like, 'cause my daughter, she ended up having to deal with the protection order in South Carolina. It was not worth the paper written on. They gave her, like, I mean, he had a guy that pulled a gun on her, beat her and stuff like that, and they put it in the family court. And you can talk to that case about what was going on with that, but it was the same kind of situation, right? And
It's terrible. And there are so many other situations just like this everywhere. I started doing so I reached out to the president because I want a national day of prayer for the children and against sex trafficking, because there's way too much going on. So I reached out, and there are things that are being done in the motion. There is a national, One Nation Under God National Day of Prayer that's going to be happening with this Freedom 250 in DC on May 17th. That is going to, be awesome for the children. But, it's besides that. We need executive orders. So I reached out to the president, and I created something along with Kim called Operation Restoration. And what it is calling for reform, and it's for our natural citizen laws to be put into place. Our children are, Elijah's 4 years old right now. He is my sovereign property until he's 18 years old. He is mine. He's not the state's. I also did a UCC beneficiary for my son. on his birth certificate and on his social security number. So the reason why I'm not getting raped, and I mean raped by the system, and my property or even my dad's house or anything like that is not being taken from us is because the courts say that he doesn't have a social security number, so I don't have to pay child support, or he would have taken me for everything. That's the last piece on the docket, is it says that Elijah does not have a social security number when I physically hold it. And so I did a UCC beneficiary over him here in New York, meaning I'm the only one that is the beneficiary of his trust, which means the state can't even use it. So that's really cool. I have done things that were put into place that do help in the long run, especially with these petitions and everything that we're going to be putting in to prove who I am. Even in this corrupt system, I found loopholes to use it. And, I think once the correct avenues are down, and we're going down them, we're going to be skyrocketing and saving children left and right publicly, and taking these freaking bastards down because they are evil, evil, and it's terrible. I mean, witches,
Yes.
warlocks, witches. Ugh.
There was who brought me to her house today. I was past.
I'm having a really hard time hearing you.
It's a hard time to hear you, Kay.
Can you hear me now?
A little bit better.
A bit better.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah. I said I just passed around person for 5 years, and this lady who had me come stay with her, she posted on X. She's a witch. She posted on X that she lured me into her home so she could work with people in the Trump administration or in Washington, like private citizens as well, to get me thrown across the board. Like, these people are witches. Like, they're actually witches.
Mm-hmm.
They're not,
yeah,
they're legitimately Satan worshiping.
They are.
Oh yeah, I believe you. What I'm saying. Because a lot of people that I've dealt with the last couple of years were witches.
You keep going in and out, so I'm sorry if I interrupted you there.
I said a lot of the people I've had to deal with the last couple of years were legitimate witches. Satan worshipping people. This, and I was
truly demonic.
I'm saying I understand what you're saying.
Absolutely. I mean, sweetheart, when I watched the video of you and your father by those police officers wearing all those masks, getting arrested, I mean, I've watched plenty of you, and I commend you greatly. Your poise, your demeanor, your strength, your spirit, you're resilient. I mean, and the demons, they see that. The witches and the demons, they see. When, the police were here at my house, I've sent your father the video. Kimberly has seen it. They can't handle it. They can't. And they literally are not, the people that are the vessels, they're not even in control. It's literally a demon controlling them. And it's literally done by the powers and principalities that are done behind these closed doors. They do these things in these courthouses. I kid you not. When I was at the Proud Boys trial, I was going into that courthouse with a Bible, praying Psalm 91 over the doors, and seething like at these demons in there. I was holding the Bible in court. And they look at you. They know when you're doing it too, and they can't do anything. Even at Roger Stone's trial, I was doing it there too. And a marshal came and tapped me on my shoulder and said, "The judge wants you out of here." I said, "Why? I'm not doing anything wrong. I just itched my knee. I'm just sitting here. Judge wants you out." And he started to walk me out. And I'm like, okay. So then I'm leaving, and I'm like, I don't need you to help me to get out. And I get in, and they smash my car. I get into a car accident in DC, and I had to go back to Hershey, Pennsylvania with the smashed car totaled. It's crazy what they do, and the witches and warlocks and the principalities that try to stop you from doing what you need to be doing. And it is very, very, very real. I mean, it happens everywhere. I've seen it with many of my friends, all of my friends, actually.
The reason can you guys hear me?
Mm-hmm. I can hear you.
Okay. Yeah, the reason that I'm pissed off is why, I'm just why is the judicial system weaponized against just regular people? how my dad mentioned the person was able to pull a gun on me and like abuse me and all sorts of things, and they threw everything out. They're taking people's children. Like, all I hear is that I should never have children. I should never have kids. I should
Yeah.
never have a family because they're just gonna come at us and take
Well, here's
my
here's
kids
the thing
and
with that.
like kill my family.
Well, that's I mean, here's the, and I'm not trying to talk shade on anybody. I think Adrienna would know this better than anyone, but the difference between me and her, the two women who were there, or I didn't go to the Capitol, but there's other people who, I was with the Proud Boys. There's text messages that say that I was there. They know I was in the apartment. Multiple lawyers told me my name was brought up. The difference is they were able to drive a wedge in with Adrienna and not me, because there was problems
between
at
the
home.
men
There was like my marriage has and always will be 100% solid. And again, that's not to talk shit or whatever, but they knew there was problems on Adrienna's end. There were no problems like that on my end. There was no way that they could intercede and manipulate us one way or another the way that they could with her. And I'm
Okay, I see
telling
what you're
you,
saying. I see what you're saying. You're saying that the only way for them to actually come and use the state to take your children is if there's a wedge between the man and the woman in the family. If they have a
Yes.
solid marriage.
Yeah.
You're saying that it's okay for people to have kids if I have a
And
family.
we
They
weren't
could not
legally
touch
married
me. They could-
either, and Kimberly
Yeah,
was
I
too.
was.
So we weren't
I'm
legally
legally
married, so they were able to do that separation and the two state differences. All right. And everything with my past work and what I've done. They wanted to wedge me so hard and they were able to. And okay, well,
Okay, so when we talk about, there's a lot of people who were there and didn't get charged. The reason that when my name comes up, nobody ever accuses me of being a Fed is because everybody who was involved, everybody's lawyer, everybody who knows who I was there, every single one of them, when their lawyers tried to say, oh, well, what about Kimberly Coulter? There was never enough there for them
never,
to even be able to call me on the phone. So if they
never.
were able,
Because
if
every
me
single
and
one of us, when asked, we were because we're very adamant. We're a close group of friends. And I kid you not, you guys, when January 6th happened, we all knew that we had to leave and we couldn't fly on our planes back home. So we literally gathered together and rented a car and left together. Like we were like, okay, we know our names are going to be the ones. We're screwed right now. We knew it. And we knew that something evil was going to come. Yeah, yes, it would have been a hostage situation.
The DC police were quite literally holding hostages in hotels, saying you're not allowed to leave until they decided. The presumption there is they were deciding whether or not they were just going to start rounding people up that night.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And here's another. Let's go down deeper into that, because Alex, during that, because this is like we were okay during that time. It's when all of this started happening, when the FBI started coming to my house and harassing me and threatening Alex as well. And I believe because Alex was a felon and was a smuggler and he was arrested, you know what I'm saying? Like he was able to take some bait and become like a CHS. Okay, like how Kim was saying, like no CHS stuff with like when she's brought up, nobody would ever think that because she's solid. We know her, so we always would stand by. This is where she was. This is what she was doing. She's not that. With my ex, it started becoming really, really weird. Like wouldn't be coming home at certain times. You'd be sitting in the driveway for a really long time. And like, this is after the feds would come to my house and he had guns in the house and everything like that. And they didn't do anything. He was a felon. You know what I mean? And Missouri is a constitutional carry state, but you know what I mean? Like these were like, they didn't care. They didn't care. So everything started to dawn on me.
Like, say to him, like I'm right. Sure this is what I'm assuming they were able to say to him, like it's her, you, like you're allowed to, use this as against her. And since there were problems, it seems though he would have on that opportunity. And they, again, like I said, they're not able to do that with me. My husband, they're not going to get my husband. They're not going to get to, and exactly. They're not, there's nobody in the case that's going to say, oh, maybe there's something wrong with Kim. No, like whenever they know that all the lawyers were told my name, they know that my name was brought up and they couldn't use it for anything. So why try?
I get it. Because there was a pharmacist in Canada who tried to get him thrown into the psych ward because he was going against the vaccination. But his wife was like, no, absolutely not. But then with my ex-wife, she went along with what they did. And, well, like after they arrested me, they settled my divorce in one day, gave away the house I was living in, they committed fraud, all of that stuff just wiped out because of that.
Yep.
So yes, they play into that whole
They
family.
weaponized it. Yep.
You want to hear?
They
Let's get even more interesting with this. So during this whole Proud Boy stuff with the courts and everything on January 6th, they called me a Jane Doe. They called me Jane Doe. They were calling me Jane Doe in paperwork. I don't know why I was Jane Doe, but that's what they were doing. And most recently, at the end of Thanksgiving, I had a situation, and my health was deteriorating. Like things were going on, and I had a situation, and the same cops came and took me to the hospital and restrained me and put me in there as a Jane Doe. Nothing else happened. Put me as Jane Doe. My parents came and got me. Like, it was a very, very weird, bizarre situation. But they were calling me Jane Doe again and capitalizing on it. It's just crazy, and restraining me and saying this and the third. It's just the type of stuff that they do to you
Restraining
is wild.
How did they restrain
In the hospital, like on a hospital bed, restraining me on a hospital bed. I'm just like, what are you guys doing?
You mean they tied your arms and legs down?
Tied my arms down, tied my legs down, dated me, everything. This was literally on Thanksgiving night, and it's the same police, same demons that came and did it.
Did they tell you
and
why?
It's just, yeah, and they had me in as a Jane Doe.
But did they say
Jane Doe?
Did they give you any
Why'd
reason
they-
for restraining you? Did they say anything?
No, they were just saying that I was, they said that I was just completely right. But you know what I mean? Which I was having a mental issue. I was, but it wasn't anything in that type of sense like that. You know, it was the same cops and my mom, and the situation happened, whatever. But it was nothing to do with anything that could have gotten me in trouble legally whatsoever. You know, it was just me, and it was the same cops. So they were like, okay, well, we're taking her in. You know, I was on my house in my own property. It was just like, I was just yelling a little bit and aggravated at things that were going on with the situation with my son. And the same cops came, and they put me in the hospital, attacked me, sedated me, restrained me, kept me there for 24 hours and as a Jane Doe, and then released me. And nothing came of it. Nothing. It's just a mental thing that they keep trying to do to break you. And that's what it is. And it's not going to break me. I mean, when I was laying there, you know, restrained, I was like, is this it? Like, is this really it? I got those thoughts in my mind. Like, are they going to come and try to kill me again? Like, you know what I mean? Like, those types of things enter your mind. So it's like, but it's not going to happen because God is resilient and he's with us. And here we are now. Now we're down this avenue, you know, where they keep on using things judicially. And like I said, the Jane Doe situation, taking my child, January 6th, my relationship with my ex-fiance, all of it. I just
had to sit back and think. It's like, we have to actually sit down and think, is the government going to kill us?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, those are things that I've thought.
Where did we come to this, right? Because when I was a kid, you knew the government was bad, but you didn't have to sit down and think every time I got in a situation, is the government going to take me out today? It's like, wow.
And it's crazy to think about that, but it's true. And the life that I have lived with,
I understand.
You know, hosting events across the country, having snipers on buildings, Antifa breaking into my house, like George Soros stealing my EIN paperwork for my business while I was in DC, having an event, like stuff like that. Yeah, it's really cool to witness a new beginning. And I told Kim, I haven't felt a new beginning in a while. It's, you know, my spirit, I'm going to get emotional. My spirit I'm elated and I'm in love with God. And I know for a fact that everything that I have gone through, everything that we've all gone through is for a specific reason. And it's us that come together in these moments. Like, I wouldn't have been able to do it without you, Kimberly. I wouldn't have been able to do it without you, Dale. You know, and here we are now on this avenue, turning the new leaf. And I really do believe this year is going to bring that. And so, like I told Kim the other day, I haven't felt, like Kim's always like, come on, Adge, let's go. get your butt moving, like, da-da-da, let's do this. And I'm like so ready to do it. And then boom, something happens where I get a mental block. And I'm just missing my son so much. Where it kind of shuts you down, and like not knowing when I'm going to see him again, or, like being told and being played a cat and mouse game like this for so long. It's difficult because my son is my best friend. He is the center of who I am. He's a genius. He's beautiful. His namesake is the Lord is my God. God told me what to name him. God has shown me that he is going to grow up before me, and I will follow him. And the spirit of Elijah does live through him. He is free like that. And believe this is for such a time as this. But I haven't felt that breath of fresh air until you messaged me the other day, Dale, and gave me that hope, because I have hope. I have the faith in God, just like Moses' mother put her baby in a basket. The thing that she feared the worst in her life was God's greatest weapon in that basket, and I have a picture. I swear to God, you guys, I'm going to grab it. I have a picture of Elijah in a basket, like when I was realizing that, and that was like him in the hospital. His name's Elijah Nunzio, and he was in a basket, and I was like, when God was showing me that revelation, I looked at that picture, and I was like, oh my gosh, it's that moment. That's how serious this is. And like, I've been behind the scenes for so long, and I've been quiet for so long. I now feel like I have that Holy Spirit fire to get going again. And it's because of all of you and everybody who keeps moving forward and who does have morals and strength for the children. Because if you can't stand up for the children, what do you have? Like, there's nothing.
No,
absolutely nothing if you stand up for the children.
I mean, there's so much wickedness going on, and then people like it's not even the point of that it's conspiracy anymore, because the only rational thing that I can come up with when I look at what's going on is that there is organized crime operating within the government. There's just no other conclusion, because I grew up around, like, I mean, the first exposure I had to human trafficking was at church. Somebody stole somebody's daughter and pimped her out in Vancouver, and half the church knew about it. I was like 8 years old, so I didn't know anything, but I knew something was going on. I got older and realized what it was, and all that kind of stuff. And I grew up in one of the worst places for human trafficking. Like, I mean, right behind the main Child and Family Services building, they had what they called kiddie track, where they had kids selling themselves, and the place that's supposed to be looking after the kids, they didn't do anything. They drove by, saw the kid selling himself, went into work, did nothing. Right? So, and police were getting, like, police chief busted with, like, prostitute in on duty in a squad car. I mean, B&E rings with police. Winnipeg was like Detroit. It was bad, right? And so we saw that, and they were child traffickers trafficking children inside, like putting kids into hotels. They were getting into like prostitution. It was on the front page of the news, and they continue to do it. And now you're seeing this type of stuff everywhere. The courts are involved. The police are involved. So they're criminals, like the worst kind. And they're trafficking kids. They're stealing people too. I hear about it all over the place.
Yeah.
This can't continue.
And it's all for like it's all for sinister things. I mean, it sounds like I'm a conspiracy theorist when I say this, but they feed off of the children's energy, and they feed off of the innocence. And you know this. That's what Baal does. That's what the devil does. So of course these heathens are going to be like that. So I mean, it's now more than ever. It's time to rise up for the children and to step forth and reclaim as masters what is ours. For so long, we have been trampled on. So long, we've been locked up. For so long, we've been manipulated. For so long, our names that are sovereign under the Lord and Savior, okay, have been used as trash, have been manipulated against us, have been a weapon against us. And our names should not be that. We should be able to stand up with our name proudly. And as I do, I stand proudly with my name. And this testimony just like all of yours, it's going to be triumphant. In the end, God wins always. But there is a battle, and this battle is we need to take them out within their own system at this point. And they haven't led us for so long, but I do believe God is opening that avenue for us now,
Well,
where
yes,
we will be able to do it.
and you kind of touched on something earlier, Kim, about with you and your marriage. This is one of the things that is very important, and they try to keep the divide between men and women because when you have stable families and you have people that are married, it's harder to steal their children. It's harder to control the people because the parents are teaching the kids how to think and do all of this kind of stuff, and they can't have that. And if you're a Christian, you're going to be more likely to form a family. You're going to teach your kids the Bible is what you go to before the state. And if the state tells you to do something the Bible tells you not to, then you listen to God. And if you're trying to take over people, you can't have that kind of thinking, right?
Do you want to know an argument my son's father said to me at one point to why he was an atheist? And it was changing, but I think it was just to manipulate me. But he said to me, he said, Adrienna, the jury says that God is not guilty of existing. I said, okay. That was literally what he said. The jury finds that God is not guilty of existing. Are you okay? I was like, okay. Like, it's like, I mean, crazy because like inside of our court systems, it should be under God. We put our hands on the Bible. That's how it should be in the Constitution. And they don't even do that anymore. Okay. You know, I so solemnly swear. So solemnly swear what? You guys aren't even so solemnly swearing under your oaths. You don't even have notarized on your oaths. Your pens are auto pens. You're not real. You are a racketeering mafia who are child sex traffickers at the highest level. And
But
we are your slave farm.
what needs to be done is for the judges to be arrested. The judges should be arrested at very minimum of deprivation of rights under color of law, and they need to
These
execute the
judges
judges. I'm not even kidding, because
and clerks, though,
until you
and the
start
clerks.
giving these people the death penalty, they're going to continue to do what they're doing, and they need to get the message that if you're going to go and because what this is a system of slavery. When you take somebody's child and you like transporting them across the state lines, they're profiting off of it. Then you're driving the parent trying to save their child into poverty. They're doing everything they can to save their child. That's forced labor, and it's peonage. This is a system of slavery. You can't do that. That's insurrection and violence. These guys need to be
Yes.
executed, and they need to be dealt with. This is why I did the petitions for redress of grievances, because you have a right to come in and do this. Go to your government. If the state doesn't listen, then you take it to Washington. And Article 4, Section 4 says that the government and even the executive can do so is to go ahead and deal with the state, right? For issues of insurrection and domestic violence. And when you have a system of slavery for children, that goes straight against the 13th Amendment. Nobody's going to sit down and say that you can sit down and have slavery. And if you're operating with a slave system inside of your states, that is insurrection and domestic violence. And they need to be put down. And all those judges, they all need to be hauled out and they need to be tried and executed. End of story.
Right. Public lynching, if you ask me. I'm
Yes.
sorry, because I've had enough. And I just, they're evil witches and warlocks, like Kaysha was saying, and we just need to move forward the way that God intends us to. And I truly believe that the avenue that we are on right now is that street to go down. And I can't wait to stand tall with Kimberly, you, Kaysha, and Dale, with everybody, all the mothers and the fathers who have been alienated from their children, who are standing up, who are fighting for the right cause, to stand up for the children. Because it's not just men or women, and it's both sides that are going through stuff like this.
Yes.
Both sides. And it fully just depends on who it really, what it is it's the separation from the wheat and the chaff, and it is the broken families. And it's the broken system that makes the broken families and creates the corruption. And it's the whole big cycle. And so when there's people like us who see between it and fight against it loudly, we're stopped when there's ways for them to stop us. But those ways are getting narrower and narrower as time goes.
So you want to tell us a little bit? You said you were doing the Operation Restoration. You want to talk a little bit
Yeah.
about that?
So, okay, I wrote something down for you guys for Operation Restoration because I want you guys to hear like the full thing. Okay. The main thing is to stand up and go against these courts and hold these people accountable for what they are doing, alienating children and separating families and creating chaos. All right, within our states, within our courts, within everything, and to stop racketeering in the courts for sex trafficking, cash cow systems. Every single court case has a 1099 on it that they're making money off of, and they're using that to get money off of these children that they're putting into the court systems with CPS or foster care. They're using all that, so I want to bring that to the light. Here, let me get it. Okay. Man, oh man, it feels good to get this out. It really does. It's been so long. But it's faith driven and it's basically it's me. It's mother-led advocacy mission built from lived experience of family separation with my son Elijah. Its purpose is to protect children, restore families, and demand accountability from systems that too often harm or divide parents and children. The work focuses on awareness, practical support, and reform-minded action, uniting community, churches, and everyday people to stand for family integrity. A key pillar is calling for the National Day of Prayer for the children, bring the nation together in prayer and action for healing, protection, and restoration. So we can finally get this appreciatedly done. Nobody's done this. No one's standing up for the children. Why haven't we had a National Day of Prayer for the children yet? Why hasn't it already been done?
I hate to say it, but people don't seem to care much about children, or they are afraid.
Makes me sick.
Because they're like, they want to keep their heads in the sand and be like, the world is still good. They don't want to believe evil in the world. But at the end of the day, you have to face the reality, and especially men. Like, I'm sorry, you're supposed to be there to protect your family. I know that if there's a child rapist walking the street, just because he hasn't raped my child doesn't mean he's not going to do it. Like, I mean, it's only a matter of time, because it's like a drug addict. They're going to find the drugs, and when they run out, they're going to find whatever they can. So until they're all dealt with, nobody's safe. If they don't fix this issue, nobody's safe. You can't live in a situation where they can steal somebody's kid at will. The state doesn't have any right over you. First of all, family courts, the way they exist now, should not exist. They should have equal due process protection as the criminal court, because you're looking at the rights of a child. You will take away a child. You can take a child away from a parent for up to 18 years. Now, that's like, most crimes don't give you 18 years in prison. In Canada, 25 years is life in prison. So you can give them almost a life sentence, but then you have extreme developmental harm for the rest of their life.
Yeah.
So you have to be sure that you're making the right decision to cut off the child from the parent. And the judges that are doing this arbitrarily, they need to be punished, because you cannot do that, because it's a grave situation. And in most cases, you shouldn't take the kids away unless there's abuse. Like, if they don't like each other, it's too bad. Figure it out, right? Just because they hurt your feelings doesn't mean that you're a terrible parent. Now, if it's a different story, if there's like abuse and violence, different story. But if you just don't like each other, too bad. Suck it up and deal with it, right? And this is what they should be doing, because it's ideal is to have both parents. But if there's extenuating circumstances, with my oldest daughter here, I had full custody. I never had to let her mother see her, but I allowed her some context so that she would understand who her mother was, and that she wouldn't resent me. I was like, okay, well, you're on drugs, you can't have the kid stoned. You can come here and see her, but you got to be sober, right? Like, these are not unreasonable things to ask. I didn't have to, but I did it anyway, because I think that it's better that a child knows their parents than to just not. Obviously, if they're sick and twisted, you can't do that. But this is what you're seeing. But the judges don't have a vested interest. They don't care, right? And people are making money, so they have to make a stop. This can't,
Yeah,
not at
must
all.
be done. I really do thank you for letting me share this with you guys today. And I have so much faith in this, and I'm smiling because it feels good to get this out. And I might have been a little bit going with the words a bit, but it's because that's how I feel inside. It's like that. You know what I mean? There's so many different webs entangled into this, as we all know. So I just am very thankful, and I can't wait to continue to move forward and aggressively, might I add, in this situation. And you guys, this is not the last you're going to see of me, because I'm going to make a statement, and it's time.
Well,
So thank you so much, Dale, and thank
you're
you,
welcome.
Kaysha and Kimberly.
I think this is good here, and you know, one of the things I wanted to say before we move forward is that the families are important, and we have to start focusing on that, because your family is your first is a church, and it's also a government. It's the first place you learn about God is when from your parents. It's also the first place
Mhm.
you learn about government. You have a father and a mother, and then they're the ones who the father lays down the law, the mother's there with him, and that's how the family is structured. And then you learn organization. You can't have good families. You won't have any churches. You won't have any good government. And so this is very important for us to start getting back to basics, because if you want to subjugate people, destroy the family. 100% best way to do it. So we need to
Right.
start focusing on that. And yes, we want to bring awareness. We also need to have justice. If we don't have justice, we can't heal as a nation. You can't. I mean, you got to stop the person who's stabbing you, so that you can actually go and treat it and get healing. We have to do that, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I take a sip to that. Cheers, coffee sip. Coffee sip.
So, Kim, what's your part in it?
With the I'm basically just trying to help Adrienna in any way that she needs behind the scenes. I designed the logo. I help proofread. I offer support in many behind the scenes kind of ways. I will be stepping up more as we develop, but in the meantime, I'm just trying to help build the foundation so that we have a really strong base to not only help Adrienna, but to help other mothers and to help other families and fathers even who have gone through this exact problem.
Yeah, we should talk after, because I have an idea of how you. A lot of the stuff that I was doing kind of worked along with that, because you need to have both aspects, and you want to get it to as many people as possible. Because it's all about built like I mean, bringing justice and restoring families is the only way that we can fix the situation, and people need help.
Well, my late father-in-law, actually, this feels very much like carrying on the torch of his legacy, because one of the he sued the state of New Jersey and won 4 times, and one of those was they were weaponizing particularly fathers who were incapable of making child support payments due to lack of funds. They were taking away their driver's licenses, and he challenged the state of New Jersey to say, hey, that this cannot be considered constitutional. This is not legal. You cannot deprive a man of a way to make a living and then imprison him for not being able to make that living. This is not right. And he won that. He won that case. So, in a way, it does feel like carrying on his legacy, and it feels like I wish we had him around in the sense to be able to help in Adriana's case, but it does feel like picking up the torch where it was left and trying to carry it on, because this is an ongoing problem for people across the world. And I mean, if we can address what's going on in our society, if we can, you start in your neighborhood and it goes to your county, to your state, to your country. And that's what the ripple effect talks about. It's the pebble that causes the big tide that changes things. And I see that's what I see in Operation Restoration, and that's what I see when we have conversations like this. People are afraid of being of the courts being weaponized against them, and they rightfully should be. We look at situations like January 6th, and that's a key example. We see that the justice system is not, in fact, fair, and it is not, in fact, used to bring justice, but rather to be often a political weapon, but usually just some kind of weaponization in order to demonize and mischaracter people. We see that with people, like I said, January 6th, there are people who had never had a criminal history before in their lives. They're suddenly felons. And it's proof that we need to be as vocal as possible, because that's what they use to silence us. If they use weaponization like that to silence us, more people need to use that bravery and say this is wrong and do something about it, instead of backing up and saying, well, I don't want them to do that to me. They're going to do it to you regardless. That's what one of and I mean, I've been very disappointed with the handling of the Epstein case, which is why I've sort of pulled back from Trump in a lot of ways. But Trump was very much about, especially in the 2016 era, he was talking about, like, they're coming for me now, but this is just the precursor for them coming after everybody else. And he was right. And we've seen that happen time and time again. And if people are not more vocal, if people are not willing to stand up, if people are not willing to point that out, then it's only going to get worse instead of better. So that's where I'm at. And I have been very blessed, and I'm very thankful that nothing has been able to touch my family, and I have confidence that nothing will, because I don't break laws. I don't I'm a normal person. And I do believe that has been able to protect me and my family thus far. But again, like, I'm a firsthand witness to a lot of this stuff. I'm 1 degree of separation from all these people. And am I going to sit around and watch my friends get abused and watch my friends get brutalized and watch their lives get ruined while I sit around and say, well, at least it's not me? No. When my kids are going to ask me one day, what were you doing? I want to be able to tell them, I stood up against this injustice. I was willing to use my voice to say this is wrong. And as a woman, there's not much more I can do, right? My responsibility is to have kids with my husband and raise them and teach them how to go out into the world. But my other responsibility when it comes to that is making sure that the world around them is a place that is habitable for them. So that means choosing the right place to live. That means in the beginning choosing the right father. All of these things are very important, and we as a society put a lack of emphasis on that. We divide the sexes. We divide the mother and father. We make the government more appealing than having an actual marriage, because don't worry about it, the government will take care of you. And then even within families, just let the government raise your children, it's not a big deal. No, you should never surrender your rights to the government. You should never say you have the right to intercede in my marriage or my life or my children's lives. You are there to serve us, not the other way around. And it seems that most politicians forget this, and the law is written so autistically that it's able to be manipulated in really cruel and treacherous ways, and that needs to be addressed.
Well, this is one of the things is when they have single women by themselves that don't have men in their lives. This is where the problem comes, because women cannot protect themselves from bad men. This is why trafficking is a huge issue. Very clear understanding. So what do they do when they don't have a man to help protect them? They go to the state, and then the state does whatever they want, and they have to make more and more restrictive laws, because they don't. The best defense against a terrible man is having a man that loves you, that has a vested interest in protecting you, because he will put him in the dirt and be done with it,
Yes.
and people will be like, self-defense. Who cares? You do yourself a favor. But God forbid, if you don't have that, then what do you do? And they're like, okay, well, the state is your man. And then the state gets control, and guess what the state does? The guys that would go out and protect the women, they get rid of them, right?
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
this is bad. We need to cut the government out as much as possible. Maintain law and order, and make sure that justice is served. Outside of that, stay the hell out of my face. Don't tell me what to do and everything else like that. Because now they're starting to criminalize things that are not criminal. Like the Sheriff
Right.
Ryder here in Canada was standing up against the drag queen story hour, they threw him in jail for hate speech and all this kind of stuff. And they put him in jail and they're trying to push him through that. And if they keep going with that, they're going to criminalize it. And what's happening here will eventually happen there. But this is where the people have to stand up, because when you want to get these types of changes, this is where the petitions come, because they don't, I watched them, like I watched the history, they kind of dropped this off for a long time. Petition, you go back and read the Declaration of Independence. The last thing that they said before they went into the causes that impelled separation was their humble petitions were met with repeated injury. That signifies it's the last straw. It also allows you to do things that you normally wouldn't, because the court is weaponized, but the court can't fix itself. The people that fix that are the legislative branch and the executive branch, because the legislative is the one that creates the laws, but the executive has powers that they can deal with things swiftly, like executive orders, until the legislative branch can go ahead and sort that out. And when you have a system like this that is weaponized and it's got a system of slavery operating in the courts, it is exactly what they're designed to do. If they don't do it on state level, well, then you can go to the federal level and get them to bring the hammer down. And when people come together, that is what they fear. There's no better weapon than public pressure. And when politicians, doesn't matter what they want to do, when the people outside of their office are getting angry, they're going to have, the winds are going to change, because you're going to fear the people in front of your face, the people who are trying to coerce you or bribe you or whatever the case is, because you have to face that angry mob day after day. And then you're going to have to start thinking about self-preservation. Right? That's how things change, because
Absolutely.
Boston Tea Party.
Right? That's right. I mean, like, we had that a little bit with the January 6th. It's just our corrupt government didn't let it happen. You know what I mean? If we could get that type of oomph for the children and have the right avenues the way that we're doing it, nothing will stop us.
But you see, with January 6th, this is what they did was not actually protesting under the Constitution. It was picketing. This is why they did what they did. When you go in and when you're going out to protest, and like you want to petition your government, you have to do it in a specific way. This is why they allow people to do this and put this way, and then they arrest them because of these things. But when you go in and you actually petition and formally go in your government and give them the documentation, then you go ahead and you start putting the screws to them, because now they have their constitutional duty. It doesn't matter whether they're at what capacity they're acting in. They're sitting in that state house that people own. It's either you do what you're supposed to do, or there's the door. Because that's what the Constitution says. Because you don't have any rights as a public servant. A public servant, that means you do the will of the people, right? Mm-hmm. No other choice. Mm-hmm. And so, I'm just like, do it or else. That's really all there is to it. How much do I want my freedom, or how much do you want to take it? I want my freedom more than you want to take it.
Absolutely.
So that it's really it. And when it comes to kids, that's the hill I'll die on. Like, I'm sorry, I can't do that. I don't want to live in a world where
I'll die on that hill with you.
Steal kids and rape kids and do all kind of evil to kids. No. So, yeah. Anyway, I think.
Excuse me, guys.
I know we're getting to that point where we're gonna probably have to wrap up. And I know you guys got stuff as well. So, I mean,
we do.
What do you tell me where people can reach, how they can find you?
You want to start?
Me? I mean, honestly, I'm just on Telegram. I'm working on getting a website and everything done for Operation Restoration with Kimberly. We're going to be moving forward that, but I'm on with her with Warpaint, with the War Boys Network. So you can find me there, but I don't have social media. So unfortunately, you can't really find me on that, but unless it's on podcasts and stuff.
Okay.
So as far as me, you can find me at Coulter Culture on all social media platforms, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, Parler, and I'm sure that there's more. X, yeah, you know, I all that stuff. You could catch my show. Adrienna's going to be joining too, which is going to be wonderful. We're going to be co-hosting officially. I host a show on Mondays at 2:30, Thursdays at 9 a.m., Fridays at 9 p.m., and Saturdays at 2:30. And occasionally I will be hosting panels at 9 p.m. on Saturdays as well. That will be once a month, usually last week of the month. And we're actually going to be hosting a panel this Saturday with both Dale and Kaysha. And so that will be really great. We're going to be talking about the similar topics. I'm going to try to get a few other people on who have had CPS weaponized to use against them. And yeah, that you can support the show. You can subscribe to me on X for $3 a month. You'll forget about that charge immediately. And you can also send me tips on X or on Buy Me a Coffee. I hope to see you guys over there, and thank you guys for so much for having us. We really appreciate the opportunity to get some more reach.
Yes, and
Absolutely.
thank you guys for coming. I'll close here with a prayer before we go, and I'll give my daughter final thoughts. She sounds better than her dad. All right. Heavenly Father, Lord, we thank you for this day. Thank you for the opportunity to come and have this conversation. And Father, I ask you this day to watch over all of the men and the women that are having their struggles, and Adrienna with their situation with her son, and help them that they would be reunited soon. Watch over all the parents who are suffering with the loss of their children. Lord, get the men and the women to come together, to build their families, church, nation, and to humble ourselves before God and turn away from our ways, that we have some protection and safety for the children who need it the most. My parents.
Thanks
Amen.
for prayers always. Anyways, yeah, thanks for coming, guys. I appreciate you guys sharing. Just take the mic, honestly. Like, this thing is just not working. So here, you guys are seeing my mic. Anyways, it's really nice to know that, you know, I hear people saying all the time, like, I give them so much hope and I'm so amazing and strong and all these things. Nice that I give everyone hope while every last drop of ounce of hope drains from my body. But hey, I guess God, you know, God uses even the emptiest of vessels. But I hope that everyone listening shares this information because it's very pertinent. Honestly, you know, it's kind of enough of this. You know, it's kind of needs to stop. So anyway, please stay tuned for the show that we'll be having with them on Saturday. You can find everything in the description, links in the description. Yeah, we'll catch you guys in the next time. I mean, in the next video. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
All right.
Hello friends, my name is Kaysha and I'm a proud member of the Métis Nation of Saskatchewan. And I'm also a survivor of human trafficking. My trafficking began in Saskatchewan, moved into Alberta, and even crossed into the United States. I was stalked, hunted, and ignored by the very systems over the last 5 years that were meant to protect me. This is why, with my father Dale Richardson, we started the Karis Project. This is an Indigenous, survivor-led movement for humanity dedicated to exposing trafficking, government corruption, and holding institutions accountable. One of the most powerful tools that we are using is the petitions for redress of grievances. These are lawful constitutional actions rooted in Canadian and US law, and in treaties that tie us together across provinces, across states, and even across borders. These petitions are precedent-setting. They create a binding record. They demand accountability while representing reconciliation in action. Indigenous and non-Indigenous people working side by side to preserve liberty for all. But we cannot do this alone. We need your help to keep this movement alive, to raise awareness and to build a legacy of justice for Indigenous women, for trafficking survivors, and for families everywhere. Thank you. Please stand with us. Your support makes this work possible. Together we can restore justice, heal families, and defend freedom. And I will close with my favorite quote. The greatest want of the world is the want of men. men who cannot be bought or sold, men who in their inmost souls are true and honest, men who do not fear to call sin by its right name, men whose conscience is as true to duty as the needle to the pole, and men who will stand for the right, though the heavens may fall. Thank you.